chair of, I think, Machakos water companies some few years back and tell us what they went through. I've listened to the report, Madam Speaker. One, and what has really worried me, I happen to have been the first public accounts chair after the inauguration of the 2010 Constitution in Machakos County Assembly, 2013-2017. Though I served for almost about 2 years, and then the position was taken over by the opposition, which ought to be like that. Madam Speaker, what Honorable Mbova has said is outrightly clear. Some of the observations that the committee made are outright ignorance, first. Two, and at some point I might not agree a lot with the incapacity aspect, because as we know, honorable members, even in this assembly, when we go even for recruitment, we don't just recruit for the sake of recruitment. We recruit people with qualifications. In fact, if there is an entity that I've come to realize employs professionals, mostly, it is the government agencies, including the government itself. Very competent, Madam Speaker, because they put the required specifications because of audit queries of what kind of an accounting officer they want. Madam Speaker, the process of audit is very simple, very simple. Even this assembly, the accounting officers can attest. Before the Auditor General writes a report, he gives the entity room to provide any necessary information that is required so that it can be in tandem with the law. Then, at the end of the day, when such a report comes in, then it tells us one thing: there is some laxity somewhere. Somebody seated somewhere in an office is not doing his or her work promptly. Because they give you a management letter, they demand letter, until at that point in time you cannot be able to provide the sufficient information that they are looking for. That is at the point in which they have now to proceed and give the reports as it is. So, Madam Speaker, in this, we need now to look into ways on how we can enhance. One, it is either the accounting officer is trying to hide some information that he or she doesn't want to leak to the public. Because if you are asked, substantiate the difference of 9 million and 7 million, and you cannot be able to provide those documentations, then there's something fishy, Madam Speaker, that is happening. So those are some of the things that now, as an assembly, we need to take seriously. And Madam Speaker, now because now the report will be over for implementation, I will have to make sure that it is done. I can promise this house, because we are not going to become an investigation agency as we were told last week, but we shall make sure that these things don't happen again. Madam Speaker, if Mavoko Water Company and other water companies are in the business of selling water, Madam Speaker, it is saddening to hear that they have bad debts to the tune of 76 million. It's a big shame, Madam Speaker. Yes. It's an outright, actually somebody ought to be home today. By the time that bill accrued to 79 million shillings, that meter reading employee, he or she, what were they doing? It is simple. And actually, Madam Speaker, right now, this house needs to recommend that almost all, not even almost, all water companies in Machakos County now should go to the smart metering system. It is applicable. Yes. I was taken to Singapore by this assembly with Honorable Ngui, who is here, and met and visited a water company called Waterways in Singapore. They are using smart meters. Recently, the Committee of Environment, we were in Mombasa, Madam Speaker, and I even said it here again when a report was brought here. And the company told us that they have smart meters whereby you pay first before you consume. So if it is in an apartment, every consumer is supposed to buy a token. So if you want to buy water for 10 shillings, you feed your token with 10 shillings. If it's a company, like even our hospitals, it is the prerogative of the accounting officer in that hospital to make sure that they put budgets. And actually, Madam Speaker, even the honorable members who are here can attest. Most of the government hospital agencies within Machakos County that consume Machakos water and companies water, we give them budgets for payment of those debts. They have never come to this house and said, we don't have money to pay water debts or to pay electricity debts. It is out of ignorance. So, Madam Speaker, because I wouldn't wish to deal on this matter, we need now to ensure that we task these institutions with now living with the current technology. Let them not come and tell us they are lacking money. They are lacking money and they are failing to collect 76 million, Madam Speaker. We cannot even go ahead and incur an extra cost to fund these water companies, yet their staff cannot be able to collect bills at totaling to 76 million shillings. So, Madam Speaker, this matter needs to be looked into. And what Honorable Mbova said, even in terms of infrastructure, how do you expect us to improve the infrastructure if the existing infrastructure that is causing you to accrue debts of 76 million, you cannot be able to be accountable for, Madam Speaker? It is quite hazardous. Yes. It is irresponsible, and this house needs now to take seriously these water companies. You cannot waive bills totaling to 79 million, Madam Speaker, and you're in the business of selling water. Then you want to close door and give room to other people. And actually that is where, Madam Speaker, these companies are facing serious competition by the individual water service providers because they are efficient and effective. So we need to take this matter seriously, Madam Speaker. And in as much as I acknowledge Mavoko Water Sewerage Company, among other water sewerage companies, water companies, Madam Speaker, we need now to take seriously. Because if an accounting officer cannot provide prerequisite documents for audit queries, then it leaves a question. If an employee employed to read meters cannot be able to give the actual readings, then that employee ought not work in that institution. If the people who are doing the billing cannot be, and in the credit department, cannot be able to ensure that they enforce collection, Madam Speaker, then there needs to be a serious problem in that department. So, what we can overemphasize is to have that, to make sure that now going forward, this assembly makes sure that by the time we even allocate budgets to clear those pending bills in the ministries, they first give us authentic documentation, which will be scrutinized both from the department and from the agency, and ensure that, for example, if Machakos level 5 hospital is owed 5 million by Machakos Water and Sewerage Company, even whatever the hospital is giving us is in line with what the institution is trying to tell us. So, Madam Speaker, we need now to move with seriousness. There is a lot that these water companies can do, but based on this report, Madam Speaker, there is a lot of laxity. There is a lot of laxity, and now we have to wake up and say that enough is enough, and they must deliver to the people of Machakos. I support the report and ensure that, Madam Speaker, that we must ensure that the recommendations that this House and the resolutions that this House is going to make, they are implemented to the latter, not for Mavoko Water and Sewerage Company, but for all other county entities that whose reports have been brought in this House and need proper implementation. For that, I echo the committee and ensure that we deliver what has been recommended so that we can get the best out of it. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Maitha. That can't be overemphasized more than you have said it. And since we are the ones that make these budgets, we should be hold accountable the people who are supposed to implement whatever we have given out as an assembly. Through our oversight, I've said that once again, and I want to emphasize that it is important, and it comes back to us that why do we have to make this recommendation if we don't ensure that they are implemented in the manner they should be? Because why should we have an institution that is making losses, yet water is being consumed? Why should we have no supporting documents for any consumption that has been made and payments? Why should it be that way? These are things, it is squarely on us, members, and we have to be very keen on these matters. Personally, I'm a consumer of that water, and I don't even get, I'm supposed to be getting that water, Mavoko water, and there's no drop the last 5 years. Yeah, so what is that? What are we doing? It's ridiculous. Thank you. Honorable Ngui.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Felix Ngui Katangi. Madam Speaker, I've looked at the report from the park, Kozani, the Mavoko Water Company. And Madam Speaker, I think we must start from a point of understanding what is a qualified audit report and what is an unqualified audit report. I got an opportunity to interact with the auditors this year, and I got to understand the meaning or the difference between the two. From the report that we have just, that has just been read by Mheshimiwa Mwoki, is that the report was qualified. So what does it mean? I wish to notify the members that a qualified report or a qualified opinion means that the financial statements are mostly fair, but there are specific exceptions or limitations to the audit. These could be due to misstatement or inability to obtain sufficient audit evidence in particular areas. So this is to say that this report was not satisfactory to the auditor. There are more questions than answers for the auditor to understand within that financial year what the company did. So I wish to say that this is a bad report in question. And as Mheshimiwa Maitha have just put it, and the Mheshimiwa Mbuva, that there's need to look into these companies. I want to recommend that our Committee of Water should get down to work and investigate these water companies. Because we will not sit here as an assembly, allocate more monies to a company that is selling gold. You know, water in Machakos County is gold. It is money. And there's no way we expect these companies to make losses. It is pure mismanagement, lack of commitment, and the committee need to investigate because some of the people have overstayed there in these companies. Some boards are there for more than, I don't know, more than 20 years. The boards. So this committee on water need to look into this matter and to know exactly what is happening with these water companies. Because I want to assure you, if you see the auditor report for 2022, 2023, it will not be different from this other report from the auditor. So we keep on carry queries every financial year. So it is the high time that we get serious, our committee gets serious in this business, and also tables a report on the operations and management of these water companies. Otherwise, I support the recommendations of the PAC committee concerning the report. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Ngui. Good sentiments there. Honorable Wanjiru.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm Ruth Wanjiru, the Vice Chair of the Public Accounts and Investments Committee. It's an injustice to speak after Honorable Mbova has spoken. I was in the process of withdrawing my hand, but then you saw me, so I have to say something. Like, they emptied all the points I had, but I will still say something like, these water companies are supposed to be providing water, which is very essential. It's an essential commodity. And as we have engaged these boards, they have lorries and lorries of problems. I can assure you that. But first, let me congratulate the Public Accounts Committee and the Secretariat. When we first started engaging these boards and companies, they will just walk in, relax, like they know they're going to face people who will just laugh with them, and then they are done and they go. But they came and found a committee of very prudent members, very thorough. I say this with a lot of confidence. We question and re-question. We undo, redo, like we are very serious, they can tell. So some of them even requested for time to go back and prepare. Because, and please do not misquote me, I'm not saying the previous PAC accounts were not serious. I'm just saying they found a very serious committee, very eloquent, understanding of issues. As we've engaged with these companies and the boards, I can say that we have seen very dejected and defeated workers in these companies. As we speak to them, like Mheshimiwa has said, they have not been paid for so long. We have seen correspondence between the water companies and some public offices, which I will not mention, whereby they are being reminded to pay their debt. And how do they respond? We saw a letter where a certain office said, we have not been using your water yet. There's no alternative water. They have water, but they are telling the company, we will not pay. We have not been using your water. So we were like, which water then are they using? My point is, if we need these companies to make profit or to just survive by themselves, because even the Mavoko Water Company, which you've been told is among the best, does not make profits. It's just because it is able to survive, to break even on its own. But the other companies are loss-making entities. I don't even know why we have them, because if the government or donors do not come in to inject some money, maybe for power, maybe to